Good morning, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. I'd love to say live from Weather Trends 360 studio, but again, it's still day 20 remote. God bless all the nurses, doctors, medical folks out there. Again, you're the front lines of this virus war, and we are very appreciative of the sacrifices you are making for the betterment of all of us. This actually makes me laugh. The sneeze here, and then the reaction of the cat. This is so me, and again, I think it'll be a lot of us in this day and age. But let's look at some of the differences between the current virus, the flu, the cold, and allergies. Obviously, this week here, the next few days, is looking at extremely warm conditions. So again, you see the maps in the set there left, very, very warm across the eastern two-thirds of the country. California's on the cold side, but again, dry. So this is a very high pollen allergy week, next few days at least, here front half of this week. So typically with allergy, you look for runny nose, sneezing, watery eyes, and that's really not a symptom of COVID-19. So again, you see people sneezing and runny nose, watery eyes, don't freak out like I typically do. Looking at this week, 6 through 12 April 2020, starts off a little warm, obviously very warm, eastern two-thirds of the country, but got a major cold front coming. So it's going to end up being about 1.3 degrees cooler than last year, but still ninth warmest in 35 years, above average temperatures nationally. Drier than last year, and still 16th wettest, but kind of in the middle of the pack, so just slightly below average national precip here this week. Snowfall least in 3 years, 18th least in 35 years, so not much snow out there this week. It is Easter weekend, so we look at the Friday, Saturday, Sunday time frame. Again, you can see the huge change here. So we've got a very, very warm start here to the week, and then as we get toward the weekend, 6.1 degrees cooler than last year, 15th coolest in 35 years, below average national temperatures for much of the eastern two-thirds of the country. The west actually gets a reprieve, warming up. Rainfall, wettest in 3 years, 14th wettest in 35 years. It's just slightly above average. Snowfall could be very heavy, but again, that's just going to be spotty in the mountains. Nothing for the rest of us. Looking at the world scene here for Friday through Sunday, through the Easter weekend. Again, cold eastern U.S., warm west. Europe looks pretty warm. Much of Russia, Siberia is pretty warm. So again, you can see some of these trends here. So kind of a dry weekend-ish across the eastern half of the country. So we will take it, even if it's on the cool side. Jumping ahead to next week, middle April here, 13 through 19 April, cold. This may actually warm up as we get toward the latter part of this week, but minus 2.2 degrees colder than last year, 16th coldest in 35 years. So below average national temperatures here, much cooler than last year as well. Similar to last year in terms of rainfall, but very wet. Second wettest in 35 years, much above average. Snowfall, we'll see about this, but there could be some systems in the northern Rockies up into the plains again. So most snowfall in 35 years across the country as a whole here. Looking at the spring conditions, spring meteorologically is defined as March through May. So we've had the big, huge warm surge here in March, as expected. Now we're going to be a little bit up and down here. So we've got the bars are actually showing the year-over-year trend from a year ago. So the line is the actual temperature this year. So we see these next few days are going to be the warmest period of spring so far, the 7th through the 8th, definitely peaking here across much of the country. Then as we see, again, kind of colder trends as we get in through the rest of April. And then May, we do think it's going to be a brighter spot, warmer than last year, much warmer than last year. So Mother's Day looks to be one of the better, most improved holidays, again, for our retail customers. Looking at these precip trends here, again, we see we've kind of come out of a wet period there at the latter part of March, maybe a dry couple, 10, 14 days here, but then wetter for the latter half of next week into that third week of April. Mother's Day is kind of in a dry period, and then Memorial Day overall, that period is kind of in a dry period, but that day might be on the wet side, so we'll see about that. But precip trends. Actually had a pastor friend of ours actually say something pretty profound here. It says we're calling it social distancing, which really is not the case. It's physical distancing, but not social distancing. And if you just look outside your own neighborhoods here, in some respects, we're seeing more people, families, neighbors, churches, everybody kind of getting closer together in terms of interaction, even if we're 6 feet apart. So again, some physical distancing, but not necessarily social distancing. And even here in our neighborhood, especially on the nice weekends we just had here, it's good to see all the troops out. We had a little neighborhood boy here who turned 8, I believe, and so the police and the fire trucks all came out to wish him a happy birthday. So again, you might not see this for a typical 8-year-old's birthday, but again, the police and fire trucks did come out. So again, I think as a group here, one good news coming out of this is that maybe as families and communities, where maybe we're coming together a little more here. We were planning a vacation for my anniversary and birthday, and that obviously got canceled back in March. So consolation prize for my cuckoo bird, as I affectionately call her, Angelina, is she got a Spotty and Ruby. She's been wanting her own fish, so she got her own little fish bowl here this past weekend. She's really excited about that. And then the Mrs. Captain Kirk obviously was disappointed that we didn't get to take our anniversary trip to Florida. So she loves Longwood Gardens and fountains. So her, I guess, secondary anniversary prize here was the water fountain. So it was a beautiful Palm Sunday evening, and she was very pleased with the labor of love that Captain Kirk here worked over the weekend. So she was pretty happy with this. So with that, folks, we hope you have a great week.